Namaste. So today I'm going to read Book 2, Chapter 8, The Extinction of the Family of Yadu, and on the Antidote of Parikshit. Om Vakratuna Mahakaya Surya Koti Samapra Nidavaganam Sarvakaya Om Ekadantaya Vakratuna Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Om Yadevi Sarvakoti Shubhidhyadavinna Sanshravas Dion Em Riklam Hari Om Tat Sat. All right. Sutta said, on the third day after the Pandavas had returned to Hastinapur, the king Dhritarashtra was burnt up together with Gandhari and Kunti by the conflagration of fire in the forest. Sanjaya went away at that time, leaving Dhritarashtra in the forest on a tour on pilgrimage. The king Yudhishthira heard all this from Narada and was very sorry. How now, after 36 years after the Kuru family had become extinct, all the descendants of Yadu in the Prabhas Tirtha were destroyed by the Brahmana's curse. The high-souled descendants of Yadu, intoxicated by drinking wine, fought against each other and were extirpated in the presence of Krishna and Balaram. Balaram then quitted his mortal coil. The lotus-eyed Bhagavan Krishna quitted his life, struck by the arrows of a hunter. To pay respect to the Brahman's curse, Vasudeva heard of Hari's quitting his mortal coil and meditated the goddess of the universe within his heart and left his holy life. Arjuna became very sorry. He went to Prabhasa and performed the funeral obsequies of all duly. Seeing the dead body of Hari, Arjuna collected fuel and burnt his body together with his 8 principal wives. He burnt also Balarama's body with that of his wife Revati. Arjuna then went to the Dwaraka city and removed all the inhabitants of the city when the whole Dwaraka city of Vasudeva was drowned in the waters of the ocean. While Arjuna was taking all the persons with him after getting out of Dwaraka, he felt himself very weak on the way. Therefore, a band of robbers, known by the name of Abhiras, plundered all the wealth and all the wives of Krishna. Arjuna, of indomitable valor, after his arrival at Indraprastha, made Vajra, Aniruddha's son, the king of the place. Then the highly powerful Arjuna informed Vyasa of his powerlessness. When Vyasa said, O highly intelligent one, when Hari and you will reincarnate in another yoga, then your heroic strength will again be manifested. Hearing all these words, Prita's son, Arjuna, returned to Hastina with a sorrowful heart and informed everything to Yudhishthira. The Dharmaraja, hearing the extinction of the Yadavas and Hari's quitting his mortal coil, Yudhishthira wanted to go to the Himalayas. He installed Parikshit, Uttara's son, who was then 36 years old, on the throne, and went out of his palace in company of his brothers and Draupadi to the forest of the Himalayas. Thus the Pandavas, Prita's son, reigned for 36 years in Hastina and quitted their mortal coils in the Himalayas. Here, the greatly religious sage, King Parikshit, governed with vigilance all his subjects for 60 years. After this, Parikshit went on a hunting expedition to a dense forest and shot a deer. He then searched for the day, and it became known, and he felt very thirsty. And it became noon, and he felt very thirsty, hungry, quite fatigued with his body, perspiring. When he saw Muni merged in meditation, he asked the Muni, "Where can water be had?" But the Muni held at the time the vow of silence, so he did not answer anything. Seeing this, the thirsty king, influenced by Kali, became angry and raised the dead serpent by the fore end of his bow and coiled it round the Muni's neck. Even thus coiled, with a snake round his neck, the Muni remained as before motionless, in his state of enlightenment, and spoke nothing. The king also returned home. Then the Muni's son, born from the cow's womb, Shringi, a great ascetic, a fairy devotee of Maha, heard of the above event while he was playing in the forest. His friends spoke to him, "O Muni, somebody has now enclosed a dead serpent around the neck of your father." Hearing their words, Shringi became very angry, and taking water in his hands, cursed thus, "He who has coiled today a dead serpent around my father's neck, let that villain be bitten by the serpent Taksak within 1 week from this day." One disciple of the Muni then went to the king in his house and informed him of the Muni's curse. Abhimanu's son, Parikshit, heard of the curse pronounced by a Brahmin, and knowing infallible, spoke to the aged counselors. "O ministers, certainly it is through my fault that I have been cursed by a Brahmin's son. Now find out and settle what is to be done, though the persons versed in the Vedas say that death is inevitable under these circumstances, yet the wise ones to try their best to thwart this according to the Sastras. Many sages who are the advocates of taking steps to redress any act say that all the actions of wise persons are fructified by proper means. Their solution does not remain unsolved. Therefore, I am saying that the powers of manis, mantrams, and herbs, osadis, are indescribable. If applied duly, do you think that they will bear no fruit in this case? I heard that when a Muni's wife died out of snakebite, the Muni gave away the half of his life to his wife, Apsara, and made her alive again. It is not proper for the learned to depend on the maxim that what is inevitable must come to pass. One must try one's best to act for the living present. Ministers, have you seen any person in the heavens or in the world who remains idle, depending on fate alone? The sannyasins have renounced the world, but they must have to go to the houses of the householders, whether they be invited or not invited. Seeing again, supposing that the food of a person is brought to him unasked, and suppose it is thrown into the mouth by someone, can you conceive that food would go down into the belly from the mouth without one's effort? Therefore, one should exert one's own prowess from the very outset, though the intelligent ones should be satisfied with the thought, what can be done? It is not ordained in my fate. When Parikshit said thus, the ministers asked, which Muni made his dead wife alive again by giving her half his own life? And how did his wife die? Kindly describe all these in detail to me. The king said, Bhrigu Muni had a very beautiful wife, Puloma. In her womb, the world-renowned Chayavana Muni was born. Sukanya, the daughter of Saryati, was the wife of Chayavana. In her womb was born a beautiful son named Premati. He was very famous. It's Pramati. I don't know if it's Pramati or Premati. I'm going to go with Pramati. Pramati. He was very famous. Pramati had his famous beautiful wife, Pratapi. In her womb was born the great ascetic son Ruru. At this time, a person named Stulakesa, a religious, truthful man of great name, was practicing tapasya. O ministers, in the meanwhile, the chief Apsara, Menaka, had sexual intercourse with Vishravasu Gandharva on the banks of a river and became pregnant. She went out from that place to the hermitage of Stulakesa on the river bank and gave birth to a very beautiful daughter. Seeing this girl quite an orphan and very beautiful, the Muni Stulakesa began to rear up her and named her Pramadvara. This all auspicious girl, Pramadvara, attained youth in due course when the Muni Ruru saw her. This all auspicious girl, Paramadvara, attained youth in due course when the Muni Ruru saw her and became smitten with passion. Thus ends the 8th chapter of the 2nd skanda on the extinction of the family of Yadu and on the antidote of Parikshit in the Mahapuranam Srimad Devi Bhagavatam of 18,000 verses. Om Jayanti Mangalakari, Bhadrakali Kapali, Durga Kashma Shivadatri Swaha. Om Tuyamata Chapita Tumi, Tuyam Bandusha Chasakatumi, Tuyam Vidya Devinam, Tuyam Sarvam.